Good evening. I'm Mike Hegedus. Welcome to California Crossroads. Our first stop tonight is going to be in the sand dunes of the Central California coast, just outside the little village of Guadalupe, which is close to Santa Maria. Now, what this section of California has in common with, say, a place like Egypt probably isn't too much, except if you were to dig into one particular Guadalupe dune, then you might think you had dug all the way to the land of the pharaohs. Ready when you are, CB.
They stretch for miles, the Guadalupe dunes, blown by the ocean winds, shifting by the minute, by the season, by the... Well, they all shift except that one, right there. That one doesn't seem to move at all.
I had noticed this sand dune driving cattle through there for about 45 years, back and forth. This one sand dune never moved.
I went down there, I think, 2 or 3 different times for this.
Les Ferrari sort of noticed the same thing, and it seemed to stop moving a little over 65 years ago, about 1923. Les remembers there was a lot going on out at the dunes back then.
We could see all the activity up on the hill, the buildings and everything. Looked like a regular small town up there at the time. Like a beehive up there. There was a lot of people working.
And what were all those folks doing out there? Making a little movie. The 10 Commandments by Cecil B. DeMille. His first one, The Dunes of Guadalupe, the backdrop. The 750-foot-long, 109-foot-high Pharaoh city constructed right here out of tons of concrete, over 500,000 feet of lumber, 300 tons of plaster of Paris, and 75 miles of cable and wire. 1,000 people worked day and night for a month to build it, and ultimately it was used in only 40 minutes of the movie. But what of 40 minutes? And when the movie was over, what did Cecil do with the set?
He had a contract with the property owners at the time, which called for him to leave the site as clean as a whistle when he was finished. But rather than hauling 250 tons of statuary out, I think it was just easier to take it down, push some sand on it, and walk away, which is what he did.
Filmmaker Peter Brosnan has been researching the site of DeMille's lost set for 5 years, ever since running across mention of the burying of it in DeMille's autobiography.
The sphinxes they will find were buried there when we had finished with them.
Brosnan even did a little digging on the site not long ago and found an Egyptian horse's head. Exciting.
There's 250,000 cubic feet of something in that mound, and we suspect that once we start digging around a little bit more, we're going to find quite a bit.
So if they're so sure it's here, how come they haven't dug it up? Well, there have been a couple of hurdles. There are the environmental concerns and money, or the lack of it. It would take quite a bit for a project this size. And now, because of the first two, there is a third, time, and they're running out of it.
The dunes have been sold by their original owners to the Nature Conservancy, and they've given Brosnan until 1990 to either dig the stuff up or forget it. The area will be turned into a wildlife preserve, no digging. So the race is on to raise the money and start the dig.
Of all the great sets that were built in the 19-teens and 20s, this is the only one that remains in any way, shape, or form. All the others are gone. So if we can save even a tiny piece of this set, we'll really be saving a very special and rare piece of American history.
The dunes of Guadalupe, they shift with the wind, all except one.
Peter Brosnan says that there are a number of museums in the country that are actually interested in some of the pieces of the set once they're recovered, including the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. And The 10 Commandments wasn't the only movie shot in the Guadalupe dunes. Both The Son of the Sheik and The Last Outpost used them as a backdrop.